And we will be talking about the various viruses which are responsible for gastroenteritis. So our main focus is primarily on the competency which is related to the diarrheal diseases. So can any one of you list out the causes of bacterial causes of diarrhea? Some common bacterial causes of diarrhea. Can anyone answer? Yes, E. coli. Very good. Kartike. Any other? Do you remember from your last lecture? Very good. Salmonella. Entamoeba, not because it is associated with dysentery. So particularly, basically, I'm asking about diarrhea. So Entamoeba histolytica is basically associated with dysentery. So as you told, E. coli, diarrheogenic E. coli, Salmonella, non-typhoidal Salmonella can cause diarrhea. Besides that, Shigella initial presentation can be diarrhea, but later on it progresses to dysentery. Okay, then one of the important causative agents you are forgetting is Vibrio cholerae. Very good, Sheetal. Vibrio cholerae is responsible for cholera, so it is one of the most important pathogen which is responsible for profuse watery diarrhea. So now we are proceeding towards the viral causes of gastroenteritis. So at the end of the session, you should be able to list out the common viruses which are responsible for gastroenteritis, and you should be able to describe the morphology, pathogenesis, clinical feature, diagnosis, prevention, and control of gastroenteritis caused by rotavirus, adenovirus, and norovirus. Okay, so mainly rotavirus. So it is a must know area, rotavirus. You might get a short note on rotavirus, or you might get a short note on laboratory diagnosis of viral gastroenteritis as a whole. But rotavirus is an important topic. Then let's see what are the different viral causes of gastroenteritis. So there are mainly 5 viruses which are the common causes of gastroenteritis among humans. Most important is rotavirus. Okay. Then we have norovirus, sapovirus, astrovirus, and adenovirus 40 and 41. So rotavirus, it belongs to family Reoviridae. Okay, Reoviridae family, there are certain other bacteria that, viruses that belong to this family. This family basically consists of the viruses having double-stranded RNA. Okay, so double-stranded RNA is the genome of these viruses, and other viruses that belongs to Reoviridae are like orbivirus, uh, choleradotic tick fever virus that must have been taught you in viral hemorrhagic fever. So Reoviridae family also consists of rotavirus, okay? And in this, the genome is segmented and the RNA is double-stranded. Now, there are other viruses also which have segmented genome, just like orthomyxoviruses, Bunniaviridae family, arenaviruses. So, rotaviruses is one of the example of the virus which have segmented genome, and it has a double-stranded RNA. Now, if we see the primary age group, which is affected by the rotavirus, is generally children less than 5 years of age. So it is the most important, most common cause of endemic diarrheal illness in children. Okay, so we have divided rotavirus into various groups. Group A is the most common group which is causing infection in humans, and it is mainly causing infection in children less than 5 years, and it is a most common cause of endemic diarrheal illness in children. Okay. However, certain viruses from group B can also cause disease in adults, and it has been seen that these outbreaks are generally have been seen in China. So group B can cause diarrheal illness in adults, and the outbreaks has been seen in China. Okay, so this is a rotavirus. Now next is norovirus. Now norovirus, it belongs to family Calciviridae. Okay, and it has a single-stranded RNA as a genome. Rotavirus में it was double-stranded RNA, and normally RNAs are जो genome होता है that is single-stranded. ठीक है, Reoviridae is the family in which there is a double-stranded RNA. So norovirus has a single-stranded RNA as a genome, and this RNA is a positive sense RNA. Okay, so positive sense RNA with single strand RNA as a genome is present in norovirus. Now it has been seen that norovirus can cause diarrhea in all the age groups. So it is not just that it will cause disease in children only, it can affect young children, it can affect adults, it can affect elderlies, okay? And the disease caused by noroviruses have been seen as outbreaks. Okay, so it is the most common cause of epidemic diarrheal illness in adults. Okay, norovirus is common cause of diarrheal illness which is occurring as outbreaks in adult age group. Then coming to the Cepovirus, now Cepovirus also belongs to family Calciviridae, okay, and it has similar genome, single-stranded positive sense RNA, and it affects infants, it affects young children, and it affects elderly. Now, outbreaks has also been seen, and it can also cause sporadic causes, so sporadic cases. Okay. Then next important virus is astrovirus. Now, astrovirus, it belongs to family Astroviridae. Okay, and it has RNA which is single-stranded RNA, and again it is a positive sense RNA. Okay, and it causes illness in infants, young children, and elderly, similar to Cepovirus. And sporadic cases has also been seen, and occasional outbreaks have also been seen. Okay. Then last is adenovirus, and the serotype, there are different serotypes, many serotypes of adenoviruses. Serotype 40 and 41 are associated with gastroenteritis. Okay, and it belongs to family Adenoviridae, and it is a DNA virus. It is not a RNA virus, it is a DNA virus, and it consists of double-stranded DNA as a genome. Okay, and it affects children and infants and young children worldwide, and it is the second most common cause of endemic diarrheal illness in children. Okay, the first common cause was rotavirus. Second common cause of endemic diarrheal illness in children is adenovirus 40 and 41. And most common cause of diarrheal illness in adult is norovirus. Okay, so this is the list of viruses which are primarily causing gastroenteritis in humans. Now there are other causes of viral gastroenteritis, but they are less common. It has been seen that certain respiratory viruses, for example, influenza viruses, SARS-CoV, SARS-CoV-2, during pandemic, diarrheal illnesses have been seen in these cases with these viruses. Then there are certain coronaviruses which has been isolated from GI tract. So these are known as gastrointestinal coronaviruses. They are also associated with diarrhea. Then there are certain other viruses which are primarily infecting animals such as torovirus and picobilinavirus. But it has been seen that they might be associated with gastroenteritis in humans. Then there are other RNA viruses, which are enteroviruses, mainly B and C, that can cause diarrheal illness in humans. Okay, so these are the less common causes. The important causes are those 5 viruses that I have discussed. Now coming to the rotavirus first. Rotaviruses, as I told you, it belongs to family Reoviridae. This is the structure of rotavirus, and virion is the size of virion. If we see, it is 60 to 80 nanometer in diameter. Now it is a double strand. It has a genome which is a double-stranded RNA. In the picture, you can see it is a linear and it is a segmented. So it has 11 total of 11 segments, and it is a double-stranded RNA. Okay, so genome is linear RNA, double-stranded, and it is a segmented RNA. Okay, it has 11 segments. Now there is a capsid which is surrounding the virus, and you can see that it is a triple layered capsid. Now triple layered, there are 3 layers of proteins which are forming the capsid. Okay, so the outer layer is VP7. Okay, this VP7 is also known as G antigen. Okay, then the middle layer is consisting of VP6. This VP6 is a group specific antigen. Group specific antigen means that I told you we have divided rotaviruses into groups like group A, group B. So that group based classification is based on VP6. So VP6 will be antigen will be same for a particular group. Okay. So VP6 is a group specific antigen. Then the innermost layer is consisting of VP2. Okay. Then there is another protein which is VP4 and it is present in the form of these spikes. So VP4 is also known as P-type antigen. These are basically VP7 and VP4. They are present in the outer surface. So these are the antigens which are inducing the formation of neutralizing antibodies. So neutralizing antibodies will be formed against these G-type and P-type antigen. Okay. And the middle layer, which is VP6, it is a group specific antigen and it is basically helpful in classification of virus into different groups. Then another structure is VP2. So these 3 layers, this is a triple layered structure. So when we observe this virus in electron microscope, then it appears as a wheel-like structure. Okay. So rota means wheel. So the name is derived from the structure, which is basically looking like a wheel due to its triple layered capsid. Okay. Then another proteins are VP1 and VP3. They are basically proteins which are helping for replication. So these are the structures which are present in rotaviruses. So there are 6 structural protein and 6 non-structural proteins. So in viruses, generally when we see the morphology, we say structural proteins and we say non-structural protein. Structural proteins are those proteins whenever the viral replication is completed and virus is maturing, then the last stage is assembly. So during assembly, whatever protein is packaged inside the virus, for example, virus will have capsid, virus will have envelope. So all those structures are forming the structural proteins. So these are known as structural proteins that are included or packaged inside the virus during assembly. So mainly they are forming structures, various structures like capsid or envelope or proteins which are helping in replication. So they are known as structural protein. And VP basically stands for viral protein or viral structural protein. Okay. So these structures like VP4, VP7, VP6, VP2, they all are structural proteins. So there are 6 structural proteins in rotavirus. So we have numbered them VP1, VP2, VP3, VP4, VP5 is not there, and VP6 and VP7. So there are 6 structural proteins. Now there are 6 non-structural proteins as well. So non-structural proteins in virology, non-structural protein, we denote them as NS, that is non-structural protein, and we number them. So in rotavirus, there are 6 structural non-structural proteins. So NS1, NS2, or we can denote them as NSP1, NSP2, NSP3, NSP4, likewise. Okay. So there are 6 structural proteins in and 6 non-structural proteins in rotavirus. So out of this 6 non-structural protein, and we are mainly interested in NSP4 because this non-structural protein NSP4 is mainly a enterotoxin. Okay. Non-structural proteins are those proteins which are not present during assembly of the virus, but viral genome, these proteins are coded by viral genome. Okay, so genes are present in viral genome for these particular proteins, and when the virus will infect the cell, then only these proteins will be expressed. Okay, so these are the non-structural proteins and they have various functions like various regulation, replication. So NSP4 is one of the non-structural protein which is produced by rotavirus, and it has a function. It can act as enterotoxin, which is which takes part in the pathogenesis of this virus. Okay, so this virus does not have envelope, so it is a non-enveloped virus, and the replication is taking place in cytoplasm. Since it is a RNA virus, so you must be knowing that RNA virus generally replicate in cytoplasm. So this is the overall morphology of rotavirus. Now coming to the classification of rotaviruses, rotaviruses on the basis of group specific antigen BP6 is divided into 7 major groups, A to G, and out of these, group A is mainly causing viral gastroenteritis in humans. Okay, and B can also cause, but there are certain outbreaks that can happen in adults. But the main group which is implicated in gastroenteritis in humans is group A. Okay, then further groups can be divided into various serotypes and genotypes. Okay, so this is known as binary system of classification. What we have done, we have combined both serotyping and genotyping in this case. So genotyping is basically on the basis of VP4 antigen, that P type, those spike-like proteins which were present. So it is a P type antigen. It is known as P type antigen because it is sensitive to enzyme protease. So hence it is known as P type antigen. So the genes which are coding for this VP4 antigen, on the basis of these genes, we have typed these viruses into various genotypes. Okay, so we have numbered them like P1, P2, P3, and serotypes on the basis of VP7 antigen. So antigen के basis पे we will do serotyping. So G type antigen जो है VP7, उसके basis पे we have done serotyping. So again serotypes को हमने number दे दिया है G1, G2, G3 and so on. Okay, so जो जीनोटाइप है उनके जो नंबर्स हैं उनको हम ब्रैकेट में लिखते हैं. ओके, टू डिफरेंशिएट इट फ्रॉम सीरोटाइप. So currently we are using this binary system of classification where we are combining both serotyping as well as genotyping for rotaviruses. So currently there are 19 G serotypes and 28 P genotypes for rotaviruses. Okay, and the most common is G1P8. G1P8 is most common the type of rotavirus which is prevalent in world as well as in India. Okay, so this is the classification of the rotaviruses that we follow. Now coming to the epidemiology, this virus is worldwide in distribution and it mainly affects children less than 5 years of age. Okay, mainly causing severe disease in infants. But in neonates, it has been seen that the disease is mild. It spreads in settings where the children are together, like daycare centers, nurseries. So where the chances of direct transmission is more. So the spread is mainly where there is overcrowding. Reinfections are common, but severity decreases with every repeated infections during childhood. Okay, and it can also cause gastroenteritis in adults, as I told you. Now, if we see the seasonal distribution in tropical countries, there is no seasonal distribution. It will occur year around. But in temperate areas, it has the prevalence is more during winter. Okay, so during winters, the outbreaks or the cases will be more in temperate areas related to rotaviruses. So what are the mode of transmission? It can occur by contaminated water and food. Person to person contact, direct transmission can occur, and indirect transmission through contact with fomites can also occur. Okay, so I have put this picture just to recapitulate what have been told you in general properties of viruses. It is showing the replication of double-stranded RNA viruses. So rotaviruses are basically double-stranded, so it will have a positive sense and negative sense. So positive sense, as we know, positive sense RNA क्या होता है? The RNA, the strand basically which is acting as a messenger RNA. Okay, so positive sense RNA will serve as a template for translation and will produce viral proteins. And both negative RNA and positive RNA will be transcribed to positive and negative RNA respectively by viral RNA polymerase. Okay, so इस तरह से replication होगी and translation होगी. Later on assembly will occur and daughter virion will be formed. So जो double stranded RNA है it belongs to class 3 type, है ना, Baltimore classification if you remember. So double stranded RNA are grouped into class 3. Now coming to the pathogenesis, pathogenesis is very simple. Any virus needs a cell, okay, to replicate. It will not survive outside the cell. So viruses, we know they are obligate intracellular parasites. So जो pathogenesis है, it basically depends upon multiplication of these viruses inside enterocytes. So viruses will first attach through their specific receptors. Rotavirus जो है, इसमें जो help कर रहा है, that is VP4. We will not go into detail. And then it is entering inside the enterocyte and basically it is infecting small intestine. Okay, so enterocytes में जाएगा and then it is causing it is replicating inside the cells and then daughter virion will be produced and they will come out of the cell and they will further infect the other cells. So इस तरह से infection will spread. So multiplication of viruses inside the enterocytes will itself lead to damage of transport mechanism, normal transport mechanism of the intestine, leading to secretory diarrhea. Then another mechanism is, as I told you, there is one non-structural protein which is NSP4. It acts as an enterotoxin. So it induces secretory diarrhea, probably by altering the normal function of epithelial cell. Okay, so this is the mechanism of rotavirus diarrhea. But it will not invade. Invasion is not there. So only secretory diarrhea will be there. So clinical manifestation, it ranges from subclinical infection to severe gastroenteritis. Incubation period is 1 to 3 days. It is abrupt in onset. Acute diarrhea will be there. Vomiting can be there and watery and loose stool will be present. Fever can be present in 1/3 of patient and it is a self-resolving. Generally, it resolves in 3 to 7 days. Okay. So coming to the laboratory diagnosis. So viral gastroenteritis का जो laboratory diagnosis है, it primarily focuses on demonstration of either viral antigen or viral RNA or virus itself in stool. Okay. So the specimen of choice which is collected for the laboratory diagnosis of viruses is fecal specimen, stool specimen. So first is direct detection of virus in stool. So virus detection can be done with the help of immunoelectron microscopy. Okay, so immunoelectron microscopy is basically क्या है इसमें, when we are using antigen antibody reaction to see the viruses through electron microscope. So in this we are using certain monoclonal antibodies against that particular antigen, suppose virus, and then we are suspending the virus with those antibodies. उससे क्या होगा, there will be antigen antibody reaction and these antigen will get aggregated. So the visibility in the electron microscope will increase. Okay, so electron microscopy को हम immunoelectron microscopy के through जो viruses हैं we can see them. So visibility will increase because virus particle will get aggregated. Then another is isolation. Rotavirus isolation in culture is very difficult. However, it has been attempted in few cell lines, which are continuous cell lines based on monkey kidney cell lines, but it is very difficult. So we have used certain mechanisms such as roller drum mechanism, which is beyond the scope of your syllabus, but isolation is difficult. So it is not routinely performed. So these methods like direct detection of viruses and through immunoelectron microscopy, isolation is not practically feasible in all the labs. Okay, so it is not generally done. It is not routinely done. So the routine and practical application is of viral detection of viral antigen in stool or viral RNA through molecular methods. Okay, so we have various commercially available antigens, kits for the detection of viral antigen in stool, which are ELISA-based or immunochromatography test or latex agglutination methods which are commercially available. So rapid test will generally give test very rapidly within 15 to 20 minutes. ELISA will take a few hours. So these are the methods by which we can demonstrate viral antigen in stool. So the sensitivity of these method, viral detection of viral antigen in stool is okay, it is around 90%, so it is acceptable. Okay, so it is widely used. But the most sensitive method is obviously molecular method in which we are detecting viral RNA through polymerase chain reaction. So these are the methods which can be practically used in the lab. Okay, so these are the methods which are routinely performed. Then further, if we can do the typing methods, we can see which serotype or which genotype is there. Now coming to the serological test, where, the role of antibodies in serum for the laboratory diagnosis of viral gastroenteritis is not useful. Okay, because these antibodies they are generally detected in serum in late phase of illness, and generally these diseases resolve by itself. By 5 to 7 days they will resolve. So detection of antibodies in serum is not useful, and we can also not differentiate between past and the recent infection. So generally these tests are used for seroprevalence purpose. When we want to know the prevalence of particular disease in an area, so we do these IgG studies. So generally the serological tests are useful, but for the demonstration for the laboratory diagnosis of active infection due to rotavirus, we should detect viral antigen in stool, okay, through ELISA, rapid immunochromatographic test, or latex agglutination test. And we can also do PCR, okay. Now treatment is supportive. There is no antiviral agent which is as such available to treat the infection due to rotavirus. And since there is a dehydration, so correction of water loss and electrolyte is paramount. Then prevention can be done by following proper personal hygiene and sanitation and by hand washing. And then there is important aspect which is associated with rotavirus is vaccination. So the vaccination for rotavirus is available. The first vaccine which was licensed for rotavirus was RotaShield. It was during 1998, which was licensed, but there was some problem with this vaccine, that it was seen that this vaccine is associated with certain side effects. So the association with a surgical condition known as intussusception was seen with this vaccine. So this vaccine was withdrawn. Okay. So later on, various kind of vaccines such as pentavalent vaccine was introduced. But now there are two type of vaccines which are commonly used. One is Rotavac. Okay. So this Rotavac vaccine is licensed in India in 2014, and it is manufactured by the company, Indian company, which is Bharat Biotech. Okay. So this vaccine is a live vaccine, live attenuated vaccine, and it contains strain which is known as 116E, and it has serotype G9 and genotype P10. So it is G9 P10 strain, and interestingly, this strain has been isolated from an Indian child. So this strain was also known as AIMS strain because there was a doctor, Dr. Bhan, who was a pediatrician in AIMS. He has done extensive research in rotaviruses. So he was the one who first observed these strain in neonates. And after extensive research in these strains were isolated and they were further utilized for the development of vaccine. So these are the strains which are used for manufacturing of live attenuated vaccine for rotavirus, and this is an Indian strain. So, but however, this strain has also been found in other parts of world. So the rotavirus has been now part of national immunization schedule in India in different state. It has been introduced in phased manner, and it is a oral vaccine. Okay, it is a live attenuated oral vaccine which is given in 3 doses 1 month apart. So generally it is given in 6, 10, and 14 weeks along with DPT, and 3 doses it is given 5 drops per dose, and overall efficacy of this vaccine is around 2 years. For 2 years is about 55%. So this vaccine is generally a live oral attenuated vaccine given in 3 doses 1 month apart, and it has been introduced as in a phased manner as a part of national immunization schedule in India. And till now, no cases of intersusception has been associated with this vaccine. Now, next is monovalent human-based rotavirus vaccine, which is Rotarix. This vaccine was licensed in 2008, and it contains strain that is G1P8. Okay, the route of administration, again, it is oral. Oral vaccine has an advantage. It also induces local mucosal immunity because rotavirus is not invading, it is causing a local infection in the enterocytes. So there is a, if we are using oral vaccine, so local mucosal immunity mediated by IgA antibodies will be there. So there is an added advantage of live attenuated oral vaccine. Then dosage is 2 doses 1 month apart, generally given at 6 weeks and 10 weeks. Side effects are minor, such as nausea, vomiting, headache, muscle ache, but no cases of intersusception has been associated with this vaccine as well. So these are the vaccines, and this is all about rotaviruses. Now coming to the calciviruses are basically the viruses that have icosahedral symmetry, and the size is around 27 to 40 nanometer in diameter, and they have cup-like depression on capsid. So calis mean cup. Therefore, the name is calciviruses. Now, as I told you, the genome is single-stranded. They are linear, positive sense, but they are not having any segment, okay, like rotavirus. Single capsid protein is there. They are non-enveloped, and since they are RNA viruses, so they will replicate in cytoplasm. So we have divided family Calciviridae into 4 genera: norovirus, cepovirus, legovirus, and bacivirus. So for us, these 2 genera, norovirus and cepovirus, are important. Okay. So this norovirus has a species which is Norwalk virus, and cepovirus has a species which is Saporovirus. So these 2 viruses are basically causing viral gastroenteritis. As I told you, Norwalk viruses are the important cause of outbreaks of vomiting and diarrhea in older children as well as in adults. Okay, and cepoviruses are causing sporadic cases and occasional outbreaks of diarrhea in infants, young children, and elderly. So again, they are also worldwide in distribution. They are associated with epidemic outbreaks of waterborne, foodborne, and shellfish associated gastroenteritis. So इनका जो association है वो shellfish के consumption के साथ देखा गया है. So all age groups are affected with Norwalk virus. Mode of transmission is again fecal-oral transmission, person-to-person contact, and indirect contact through fomites. Now, pathogenesis is they do not produce any enterotoxin. They will simply replicate inside the enterocytes, and they will bring certain changes in enterocyte which will hamper the normal transport mechanism of enterocytes, such as broadening and blunting of microvilli, shortening of microvilli. There will be mononuclear infiltration, leading to malabsorption, delay in gastric emptying. So all these features will lead to diarrheal illness. Now, laboratory diagnosis is similar to the laboratory diagnosis of rotavirus. The mainstay is detection of viral RNA through PCR, and there are certain commercial kits available for antigen detection by enzyme immunoassays, but the sensitivity of these kits are lower. So PCR is preferred for the detection of noroviruses in stool sample. So specimen will be stool, vomiters, or any environmental sample. There is no role in collection of blood for the detection of antigen. Okay, so antigen will not be detected in blood. So for these viruses, we need to detect antigen in stool. Electron microscopy can be performed to see the typical cup-shaped depression and typical morphology of these viruses, but again, it is not available everywhere, and these viruses are not cultivable. And again, the role of detection of antibody is not there, it is not useful. So again, I am emphasizing in the viruses causing gastroenteritis, detection of antigen or viral RNA in stool is the mainstay of diagnosis. Okay. Treatment is again no antiviral drug is there, so replacement of fluid and electrolyte loss should be there by oral rehydration therapy. Careful hand washing and proper disposal of contaminated material should be there so that no direct to direct transmission can occur. Hygienic preparation of food, drinking water contamination should be decreased, and there is no vaccine available for calciviridi family. Okay, so vaccine is not available for these viruses. Now coming to the astrovirus, the name is derived because it has a star-like morphology. When we see in electron microscope, it appears as star. So therefore it is known as astrovirus. The diameter is around 28 to 30 nanometer and it has a positive sense single-stranded RNA. And at least 7 serotypes of astroviruses have been recognized which are causing human infection. So they are causing diarrheal illness and they infect infants, children, elderly, and immunocompromised persons. So they can cause sporadic cases, they can cause outbreak. Transmission is again by fecal-oral route, direct contact person to person, or through contaminated surfaces. Laboratory diagnosis is again based on enzyme immunoassay, where we are detecting viral antigen in stool, okay, and molecular method in which we are detecting viral RNA in stool. And to complete the list, we can see the star-like morphology of these viruses in electron microscopy. Then the last viruses are adenovirus 40 and 41. Now, adenoviruses will be discussed in detail in respiratory infections, but just to give a broader picture, these viruses are icosahedral in symmetry, 70 to 90 nanometer in diameter, and they have double-stranded linear DNA. Okay, so basically, if we see the typical appearance of these viruses, they appear as a space vehicle shaped, like they appear like they look like a space vehicle. Okay, due to the arrangement of various proteins which are there. Okay, so which are forming the part of capsid, and it has a double-stranded DNA genome. So again, it is a non-enveloped virus, and since it is a DNA virus, so replication will take place in nucleus. Adenovirus 4041, I told you it is the second most common cause of infantile gastroenteritis and may account for 2 to 12% of cases of viral gastroenteritis in young children. Okay. Laboratory diagnosis is similar to other viruses such as detection of viral antigen in stool by PCR, by ELISA, or we can also perform immunofluorescence test. There is no antiviral agent which is available for the treatment. The treatment, like other viruses, is supportive. Okay. So the must-know area in this session is you should be able to list the various viruses which are causing gastroenteritis. This can be asked in Viva or this can be asked as a short note. Okay. Then you should be able to describe the structure, etiopathogenesis, clinical feature, laboratory diagnosis, and prevention, mainly vaccine for the rotavirus infection. So rotavirus infection can come as a short note, and as such, laboratory diagnosis of viral gastroenteritis can be asked. So you can combine the laboratory diagnosis of all these viruses and you can write. Okay, so first you will list the viruses which are causing gastroenteritis, and then you will start with writing the laboratory diagnosis. So let's solve some MCQs based on the session. So the first MCQ is the most common viral cause of gastroenteritis in children. Can anyone answer? Yes. Uh, Somehow I have lost chat box. I'm not able to see answers. Can anyone raise your hand? Never mind. So the answer for this, the most common viral cause of gastroenteritis in children is rotavirus. Okay. Children में most common cause is rotavirus. Second most common cause is adenovirus 40 and 41. The next question is most common cause of epidemic viral gastroenteritis in adults. As I discussed, the most common cause of viral gastroenteritis in adult is norovirus. Okay, so noroviruses are the viruses which are causing epidemic viral gastroenteritis in adults. So the next question is, a 6-month child presented with diarrhea and vomiting for 3 days. Which of the following enterotoxin is most likely responsible for this condition? So the non-structural protein P4 is the protein which is acting as an enterotoxin in this case. The next question is, genome of rotavirus consists of single-stranded RNA, double-stranded RNA, single-stranded DNA or double-stranded DNA. So it consists of double-stranded RNA. The genome is segmented double-stranded RNA. The next question is, the vaccine for the rotavirus is live attenuated oral vaccine, killed oral vaccine, live attenuated intradermal vaccine, or subunit intramuscular vaccine. So the answer for this is live attenuated oral vaccine. Okay, so oral vaccine हम use करते हैं and we are using live attenuated vaccine so that local immunity can be produced in the intestine. So all are the causes of gastroenteritis except, very simple, arenavirus. है ना? Arenaviruses are generally the viruses which are associated with hemorrhagic fever, and these are rodent-borne viruses. So rest, rotavirus, astrovirus, norovirus, they are responsible for gastroenteritis. Now, since we are not having demo practicals these days, so generally what we do during those demo, we show you certain culture plates and biochemicals of various bacteria that already have been taught to you. Okay. So since we are not having those sessions, so I am just discussing those cultures that we have already taught you. We are just revising them again. And I will be talking about the biochemical characteristics as well. And so that you have a clear picture, because in 1 hour lecture, it is not possible to discuss everything in detail. So I will be showing you certain pictures of various culture media that are used for various enteropathogens. So Shigella has been covered. So for Shigella, we know that we are using certain selective media, right? So McConkey is one of the selective media which is commonly used for enteropathogen. And for Shigella, certain highly selective media are used, which are deoxycholate citrate agar, and another one is xylose lysine decarboxylate agar, XLD agar. This already have been taught to you. So Shigella is a non-lactose fermenter, right? So it does not ferment lactose. So it produces pale colonies or NLF in McConkey. So it is not pink. Here you can see it is producing pale colonies in McConkey, right? So the colonies will appear pale on McConkey. Similarly, on deoxycholate citrate agar, here you can see pale colonies of Shigella, right? Deoxycholate citrate agar में भी जो sugar होता है, that is lactose, okay? And जो selective agent हम add कर रहे हैं, that is deoxycholate, sodium deoxycholate and sodium citrate, which selectively causes selective growth of Shigella. So in this, lactose is a sugar, and the indicator that we are using is neutral red, similar to McConkey. So it will not ferment lactose, so colony will appear pale. So in DCA as well as in McConkey, the colonies of Shigella will be pale. Okay, so pale colored colonies will be there. In XLD, we are using 3 sugar. lactose, sucrose, and xylose. Okay. Shigella does not ferment any of these sugar. ना Shigella lactose को ferment करेगा, ना Shigella sucrose को ferment करेगा, ना ही वो xylose को ferment करेगा. Okay. So there will be no acid production overall. And the indicator that is used in XLD is phenol red. So the indicator is different. It is not neutral red like that we use in DCA and McConkey. So since the Shigella is not fermenting any of sugar, so acid production is not there. So the color of colonies will be pink due to phenol red. Phenol red क्या करता है जब acidic reaction होता है, phenol red changes into yellow color. Okay. So बाकी जो enteric pathogens हैं, which are lactose fermenter or xylose fermenter or sucrose fermenter, they will जो commensals हैं, उनकी जो colonies हैं, they will be pale or yellow. But for Shigella, the colonies will be pink. So उल्टा हो रहा है, ठीक है? Because the indicator is different. So McConkey and DCA में जो colonies हैं Shigella की, that will be pale, and XLD में जो colonies हैं, that will be pink. Okay. Now जो DCA and XLD है, one more advantage of these culture plates are that they have a system for the detection of hydrogen sulfide. इसमें सोडियम थायोसल्फेट एंड फेरिक अमोनियम सिट्रेट होता है, जो कि एक इंडिकेटर सिस्टम है जो हाइड्रोजन सल्फाइड गैस अगर कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, दे कैन डिटेक्ट इट. सो ब्लैक प्रेसिपिटेट विल अपीयर, राइट? सो शिगेला डज नॉट प्रोड्यूस H2S, so the colonies will be pink without any black center or blackening. Okay, so here you can picture, you can see that it is not producing any H2S, so pale colonies are there and pink colonies on XLD are there without any production of black color, right? So इस तरह से culture plates में Shigella दिखेगा. Now these culture plates can be kept in spot or it can be kept in Grand Viva, or some clinical case can be given to you related to dysentery. Like suppose a person is there who is suffering from loose stool, blood and mucus, abdominal pain, and then pure culture is isolated from stool sample and the colony characteristics resemble this. So culture plate picture will be there. So you have to identify. So the most probable diagnosis is, so you can write most probable diagnosis is Shigella. So इस तरह से question आ सकते हैं. Now next is Salmonella. Salmonella, genus Salmonella as such will be covered in detail in enteric fever. But as I have told you, like there are two groups. ठीक है, Salmonella enterica एक species है, उसको हमने further different serotypes में divide किया है. ठीक है, like Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, B, C, Salmonella typhimurium, Salmonella enteritidis. तो ये जो है बेटा, ये these are serotypes, these are not species. ठीक है, species is enterica. So clinically we have divided Salmonella into two groups. One is typhoidal Salmonella, another one is non-typhoidal Salmonella. So typhoidal Salmonella are those Salmonella which are causing enteric fever. So they are basically Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, paratyphi B, paratyphi C. But जो gastroenteritis cause कर रहे हैं, they are generally, as I have told you, typhimurium, enteritidis, Javiana. So long list is there. So most common cause is typhimurium, right? So अब typhimurium जो है, Salmonella is also non-lactose fermenter. So it will produce pale colonies in the McConkey agar. McConkey में pink colonies नहीं आएंगी, non-lactose fermenter colonies, pale colonies आएंगी. ठीक है, NLF. Similarly DCA में क्या दिख रहा है? Pale colored colonies दिख रही है and then black center दिख रहा है ना? So pale colored colonies तो है because it is a non-lactose fermenter. And DCA deoxycholate agar में जो sugar हम use कर रहे हैं, that is lactose. और जो indicator है, that is neutral red. So pale colored colonies आएंगी. मगर जीनस साल्मोनेला की एक और प्रॉपर्टी होती है, they produce H2S. ठीक है, there are certain exception जो आपको डिटेल में बताया जाएगा. पर अगर हम टाइफीम्यूरियम की बात करें, so it produces hydrogen sulfide gas, which will be precipitated. Okay. Because of presence of this H2S indicator system, that is a composition of this media. So the colonies of Salmonella typhimurium will be pale colonies with the black center. ठीक है, सो इस तरह से कॉलोनीज आएंगी साल्मोनेला टाइफिम्यूरियम की whenever you are trying to isolate it from the stool sample and you are using this selective media DCA. Now XLD. XLD is another medium that we can use. So इसमें क्या दिख रहा है, पिंक कलर्ड कॉलोनीज है like Shigella, but the difference is it has a black center. Okay, so XLD में Salmonella typhimurium will produce pink colonies and typhimurium will produce H2S also. So it will have a black center. ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे बट जस्ट फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग मैंने आपको बताया इसमें जाइलोस है, लैक्टोज है एंड सुक्रोज है ना, और प्लस इसमें लाइसिन भी है, L फॉर लाइसिन, ठीक है। सो साल्मोनेला क्या करेगा, लैक्टोज को फर्मेंट नहीं करेगा, सुक्रोज भी फर्मेंट नहीं करेगा, बट इट फर्मेंट जाइलोस, ठीक है। सो जाइलोस की फर्मेंटेशन से एसिडिक एनवायरनमेंट बनेगा, ठीक है, बट इट विल नॉट बी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग क्योंकि सिर्फ लाइलोस फर्मेंट हो रहा है, बाकी शुगर्स फर्मेंट नहीं हो रही हैं, बट स्टिल इट इज प्रोड्यूसिंग पिंक कलर, है ना। वाई, बिकॉज देर इज अनदर कॉम्पोनेंट विच इज लाइसिन। सो साल्मोनेला क्या करेगा, it produces enzyme which is lysine decarboxylase. So it will cause breakdown of this lysine, decarboxylation of this lysine, and alkaline reaction will be there. So this alkaline reaction will overcome the acidity which is produced by the fermentation of xylose. So जो colonies हैं वो पिंक ही आएंगी साल्मोनेला की। ये इसलिए है टू डिफरेंशिएट इट फ्रॉम अदर पैथोजेंस, क्योंकि बाकी जो कमेंसल्स हैं वो येलो कॉलोनीज देंगी एक्सएलडी में, ठीक है, बिकॉज दे आर फर्मेंटिंग लैक्टोज, सुक्रोज, सो वेरी हाई अमाउंट ऑफ एसिडिक रिएक्शन इज प्रोड्यूस्ड विच इज नॉट ओवरकम बाय डिकार्बोक्सिलेशन ऑफ लाइसिन। सो इस तरह से साल्मोनेला को वी कैन डिफरेंशिएट। सो आपको बस इतना याद रखना है कि साल्मोनेला विल प्रोड्यूस पिंक कॉलोनीज विद द ब्लैक सेंटर्स, ठीक है, इन द कल्चर मीडियम। Now Vibrio cholerae, you know there are two type of culture media that are used for Vibrio cholerae. One is TCBS and another one is bile salt agar, ठीक है, ये आपको बताया होगा। TCBS में जो शुगर है that is sucrose, ठीक है, and there are indicator which are bromothiamol blue and thiamol blue. So TCBS में क्या हो रहा है, जो Vibrio है it produces yellow colonies, ठीक है, क्योंकि सुक्रोज का फर्मेंटेशन हो रहा है। एंड देन देयर आर अदर लाइक विब्रियो पैराहेमोलिटिकस जो कि ग्रीन कलर्ड कॉलोनीज देंगी, ठीक है। सो इस तरह से कॉलोनीज जो है विब्रियो कॉलरे की ऑन टीसीबीएस दिखेंगी। देन बाइल सॉल्ट अगार में जो बाइल सॉल्ट है इट लुक्स लाइक अ न्यूट्रिएंट अगार ओनली, सो ऐसे इट इज वेरी देख के डिफरेंशिएट करना बिटवीन न्यूट्रिएंट अगार एंड बाइल सॉल्ट इज डिफिकल्ट। कॉलोनीज जो है विब्रियो कॉलरे की वो टिपिकल ऑयल ड्रॉपलेट कॉलोनीज आती हैं इसमें, ठीक है, तो ऑयल की तरह दिखती हैं, ऑयल ड्रॉपलेट की तरह, तो ये टिपिकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है ऑफ विब्रियो कॉलरे ऑन बाइल सॉल्ट अगार। Then if we see the biochemical characteristic of Escherichia coli, Shigella and Salmonella, ये तो already बताया गया है, they belong to family Enterobacteriaceae, so they will have a catalase positive reaction and they will have a oxidase negative reaction, ठीक है, and nitrate reduction will be there because they belong to Enterobacteriaceae family, and glucose will be fermented with or without production of gas. So Escherichia coli के अगर हम biochemicals देखें तो they generally ferment glucose with the production of gas, है ना, and they ferment lactose, they are fermenting mannitol, sucrose को ferment नहीं करेंगे, urease will not be urea will not be broken down by urease, indole is positive, methyl red is positive, pp negative, citrate is negative, and TSI में A by A reaction आएगा with the production of gas, okay, and there are certain strains of Escherichia coli, mainly entero-invasive वाले, which are also known as inactive E. coli. So those strains are basically non-lactose fermenter and they are non-motile also. Okay, so and they are anaerogenic also. So उस case में TSI में K by A reaction without gas आ सकता है and they are non-motile. So those atypical reactions can be seen with inactive E. coli. ठीक है? Then Shigella में catalase positive, oxidase negative होगा, glucose will be fermented but gas will not be produced, lactose Generally, they are non-lactose fermenter except for Shigella soni, which is a late lactose fermenter. ठीक है, mannitol ferment करते हैं except species which is serogroup A Shigella dysentery, है ना, वो mannitol negative होता है. Then sucrose negative, urease negative, indole is variable, it varies from serotype to serotype. Then methyl red is positive, VP is negative, citrate is negative. TSI में there will be K by A with no gas with no H2S. So sometimes it becomes very difficult to differentiate between inactive E. coli and Shigella, ठीक है, on the basis of common biochemicals that we are using. क्योंकि inactive E. coli non-motile होगा, anaerogenic होगा, gas produce नहीं करेगा, TSI में K by A reaction देगा, तो जो reactions हैं they will be similar to Shigella. So there are other sets of sugar that we use, आपको जानने की जरूरत नहीं है. With the help of those sugars we can differentiate between inactive E. coli and Shigella. Okay, and also among Shigella, now we know there are 4 different species: Shigella dysentery, Shigella flexneri, boydii and soni. So common biochemicals तो सबके same है. So to differentiate between those species like Shigella dysentery को we can differentiate with the help of mannitol with the others, है ना. Shigella soni को भी we can differentiate with the help of indole because that is indole negative and that is late lactose fermenter. But difficulty arises between Shigella boydii and Shigella flexneri, है ना. So it becomes a little bit difficult to differentiate just on the basis of biochemicals to differentiate between different species. So इसीलिए classification में ये बोला गया है कि जो classification है Shigella की into different serogroups or different species, it is based not only on biochemical classification characteristic, it is also based on serological classification. So we basically take help of serotyping along with biochemicals to identify different species. तो Shigella genus तक आप पहुंच जाओगे with the help of these biochemicals. ठीक है, नॉन मोटाइल है, K by A reaction है, mannitol positive या mannitol negative, उससे थोड़ा आइडिया मिल जाएगा. तो Shigella genus में आप पहुंच गए, but later on to identify it into different species, you will put certain more test, biochemical test, and you will also do serotyping. ठीक है, serotyping करोगे, you will take specific antisera against that particular serotype, and then with the help of serotyping we can confirm the diagnosis. Then for Salmonella, again the sugars are basically same, just like for the Enterobacteriaceae, catalase positive, oxidase negative. ग्लूकोज में फर्मेंटेशन हो रहा है विद गैस, बट देयर इज एक्सेप्शन, टाइफी इज एनरोजेनिक, सो वो आपको बताया जाएगा. आई एम मोर फोकस्ड ऑन अदर स्पीशीज विच आर कॉजिंग गैस्ट्रोएंटेराइटिस. सो मैनिटॉल पॉजिटिव होगा, सुक्रोज आई टोल्ड यू नेगेटिव, यूरिएज इज नेगेटिव, इंडोल नेगेटिव, साल्मोनेला जीनस इज इंडोल नेगेटिव, मिथाइल रेड पॉजिटिव, बीपी नेगेटिव, सिट्रेट आर जनरली पॉजिटिव. सो बेसिकली जो टाइफाइड वाले हैं they are citrate negative, so exceptions is there, and K by A reaction आएगा with gas for Salmonella typhimurium and with lot of H2S. ठीक है, so this is a typical TSI reaction. So this reaction can be seen in E. coli, है ना, A by A with gas. This reaction can be seen in Salmonella, K by A with lot of H2S. This reaction can be seen in Shigella. So this is Salmonella, दिस इज शिगेला, है ना. और इनएक्टिव इकोलाई में भी ये रिएक्शन आ सकता है, एंड दिस इज फॉर इकोलाई, एंड दिस इज बेसिकली समथिंग फॉर द ऑर्गेनिज्म व्हिच आर नॉट fermenting any carbohydrate. They are grouped as nil fermenters like Pseudomonas, Acinetobacter, that will be taught later. So this kind of biochemical reactions can be seen with these enteric pathogens. So again, questions, clinical cases can be given to you, and then with the culture characteristic, TSI reaction can be given or biochemical reactions can be given, and you can be asked to identify the organism. Okay? Now, what is serotyping? Serotyping, generally we used to teach this topic during demo practicals. हमारे पास commercial kits होती हैं basically. As I told you, on the basis in the family Enterobacteriaceae, on the basis of somatic antigen, O antigen, and H antigen, flagellar antigen and capsular antigen, K antigen, we can do we can divide them, है ना. E. coli का जैसे अलग classification है, हमने O antigen के basis पे we have divided them into groups. Then few strains have capsule, तो subgroups में आ गया है. Then flagellar strains हैं कुछ, ठीक है. So we have grouped them, and those particular groups are basically associated with particular syndrome. जैसे कि enteropathogenic E. coli will have a specific O groups, है ना. O numbers उसके specific होंगे. Entero-invasive के लिए specific होंगे. For example, enterohemorrhagic E. coli के लिए जैसे O157H7. So these numbers are there. So serotyping similarly for Shigella. Shigella का जैसे speciation है into Shigella flexneri, Boydii, dysentery, है ना, Sonai. So that is that cannot be done routinely just by biochemical. We have to do serotyping, है ना. तो वो O antigen के basis पे Shigella का classification है. Similarly, Vibrio में you must be taught कि O1, non-O1, तो O somatic antigen के basis पे हमने groups में divide किया, and then further Ogawa, Ikawa, Hikojima, है ना, serotypes. So different bacteria के there are gram-negative में we are following different kind of classification on the basis of O antigen, K antigen, जो भी उनमें antigens हैं. So we can basically do serotyping to identify those particular bacteria which are causing that disease. So practical utility of serotyping is more, and a practical application is more because we can do it simply in the lab. They are not cumbersome. So what we do is, जो serotyping for Shigella, enteropathogenic E. coli or enterohemorrhagic E. coli और Vibrio के लिए we are doing as a slide agglutination. So हमारे पास क्या होता है, we have these commercial kits available. Commercial kits में क्या होते हैं, जैसे ये है, it is for Shigella, this is Shigella flexneri, है ना. तो Shigella flexneri के लिए we have a anti-sera. So these anti-sera are commercially available. They are basically produced in rabbit. Rabbit में को antigen डाल के हम उसके anti-sera में जो antibodies बनती हैं, we collect them and we commercially उसको use करते हैं, ठीक है. सो रैबिट एंटीसिरा है जिसमें ऑलरेडी एंटीबॉडीज हैं अगेंस्ट वेरियस अगेंस्ट ओ एंटीजन, ग्रुप स्पेसिफिक ओ एंटीजन ऑफ शिगेला फ्लेक्सिनरी. सो उसके बाद बेसिकली वी कैन यूज पॉलीवेलेंट ओ. पॉलीवेलेंट का मतलब है कि मल्टीपल वैलेंसीज आर देयर. सो शिगेला फ्लेक्सिनरी में जैसे कि 6 सेरोटाइप्स हैं. सो पॉलीवेलेंट में 6 के 6 सेरोटाइप्स के अगेंस्ट एंटीसिरा विल बी देयर. सो रादर देन गोइंग फॉर इंडिविजुअली, हम क्या करते हैं कि हमें बायोकेमिकल से लग रहा है कि इट इज शिगेला फ्लेक्सिनरी, सो वी विल यूज दिस एंटीसिरा फॉर शिगेला फ्लेक्सिनरी विच इज पॉलीवेलेंट ओ. सो पॉलीवेलेंट ओ से अगर वो पॉजिटिव आ रहा है, देन वी विल फर्दर प्रोसीड फॉर सीरोटाइप 1, 2, 3. तो इस तरह से एग्लूटिनेशन फॉर शिगेला इज डन. सिमिलरली विब्रियो के लिए भी फर्स्ट वी विल यूज पॉली O1 और नॉन पॉली O1, ठीक है. देन वी विल फर्दर, अगर वो पॉली O1 से पॉजिटिव आता है, then we will further proceed for Ogawa, Inawa and Hikojima. So इस तरह E. coli के लिए भी पहले हम poly O group के लिए, particular group के लिए करेंगे, and then we will proceed further. So how do we perform this slide agglutination in lab? What we do, हम एक pure culture isolate लेते हैं, preferably from the nutrient agar or from TSI, है ना. So we take a slide and we put a drop of saline, normal saline, and we make a homogeneous emulsion of that particular isolate. We take a isolate with the help of loop and we emulsify it on the saline which is kept on slide, okay. So we emulsify it and then we put a drop of antisera which is commercially available. We will put that drop and we then rock the slide for few minutes. So ये आप देख रहे हो, ये clumping हो रखी है, so it is a positive reaction. और जहाँ पे clumping नहीं होगी, it is a negative reaction. Basically कोई change जहाँ पे नहीं आएगा antisera डालने पे, इसका मतलब है कि that particular antigen for that particular antisera is not there, so it is negative. But agglutination जहाँ पे clumping हो रही है, so that is agglutination. So this is how we are doing slide agglutination in lab for Shigella, for various diarrheogenic E. coli, for Vibrio cholerae, and Salmonella के लिए भी we are doing it, ठीक है. So beside these commercial kits, certain latex agglutination kits are also available. तो सीरोटाइपिंग ऐसा नहीं कि स्लाइड एग्लूटिनेशन से ही कर सकते हैं. फॉर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ बैक्टीरिया कमर्शियल किट्स आर अवेलेबल, बट जनरली फॉर दीज एंट्रोपैथोजन वी आर परफॉर्मिंग स्लाइड एग्लूटिनेशन. ठीक है. सो थोड़ा सा आइडिया यू विल गेट कि सीरोटाइपिंग क्या होता है, हाउ वी आर आइडेंटिफाइंग various entry pathogens after we have identified them with the help of biochemicals. ठीक है. So this is what all about serotyping. So this was all about today's session, viral gastroenteritis. It was a short session, so I have added these demonstration for you. So unfortunately, I am not able to see the chat box because I should be able to answer your questions if you have. Somehow the chat box is not visible. But anyways, if you have any doubt, you can always email me. You have my email ID, right? So this was all about today's session. Please read it. This is important, and thank you so much and have a nice day. Thank you.